welcome to your Kizzy, the one YouTube channel. If this is your first time on my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the red subscribe button down below and turn on the bell icon. Tell me what you think about this video in the comment section.
I table Honorable George Sanga, former Member of Parliament for Lukasha, Honorable Stephen Kampiongo, former Member of Parliament for Shwanandu, and Pelampi Banyali on the lamp bringing light to this very dark economic and political environment we are in. This press briefing, we are speaking briefly about that have been developed by the UPND and those standards that we have continued to implement. Now, before I share my thoughts regarding the general election, I just want to remind you, countrymen and women, that all of you, our people, to be clear, that President Lungu is not buried. He is still in a mortuary in a foreign land. The entire country, all of us as Zambia, we have failed to provide leadership which would ensure the burial of His Excellency, the late. We still talk about President Edgar Lungu still in a mortuary. It's shameful for our country. It's shameful for our culture. It is shameful for who we are as a people. If you may allow me also, by everyone concerned throughout this difficult period for the people. Let me now come to the substantive issue. 13th of August of this year, sure that the will of the Zambian people is respected by everybody. We have been speaking, I think, throughout this past assembly, the 13th National Assembly, and we continue to speak to issues of democracy and its development in our country. I think at some point we spoke very, very strongly when our brothers, Honorable Poman Lusambo and Honorable John Malanji, noted by law in the sense that a court judgment existed, but those who are responsible for that by-election went ahead without respecting that court judgment. Now, for some people who did not like the Patriotic Front, and those perhaps could have been okay, but today there is no Bowman Lusambo on any ballot anywhere. Instead, we have independent candidates who have opted to contest elections in the various constituencies of this country. We know, or I'm told, that Honorable Gary Nkombo has been summoned by police. So in this country, it looks to me like some people have no rights. And if you want to force your rights, then you are likely going to be summoned to the police because you can't even defend yourself. I recall one woman who belonged to the PF in Kawambwa was accused of having stolen. Gary Nkombo has not been the only victim of the misconduct of political hooligans. We know, I have seen somebody whose cheek was plucked out, that what UPND has demonstrated is a very bad standard of democracy. First of all, it is incorrect to circumvent a person because this is constitutional. Failing to let people contest elections if they do want and they qualify is in fact violating their constitutional rights. Do you recall what UPND did to the Democratic Party? Honorable Hari Kalaba had to forfeit. Now, you wonder, how do you do all these things to political formations as a government? And you still want people to believe that you are going to deliver a free and fair election. You still want the international community to begin to accumulate those factors so that you can be able to make a very representative declaration that these elections were free and fair. If you told people you can't contest as an independent, and even when those people realized it is their democratic right and they went further to go and contest, you still followed them to brutalize them, as you did to Honorable Karin Kombo and a few others. The Electoral Commission of Zambia is the foundation of the freedom and fairness in an election. It's a cornerstone. But what is the composition of the Electoral Commission of Zambia? It is clear for everybody, very clear for everybody, that we have complained at the nomination center. Who is in charge of the nomination center? It is the Electoral Commission of Zambia, being guarded by Zambia Police, the Zambia Police Service. We ought to know that maybe the issue is to impact these same elections. The Ministry of Education, these headmasters who are going to sit in polling, in polling districts. If a participant can be brutalized in the presence of police and later on they become the victims, or they become the villains. So we are demanding from the UPND government, the laws which were enacted just before the dissolution of parliament, they are all illegal laws. Totally illegal. We know this because the committees which assessed those laws had members of, just something similar to a free and fair election. Now, if that happens, I'll come to my last contribution, which is that I want to remind you, my people, the Zambian people, in terms of having stolen donated medicine by the American government. It's the same UPND which has done nothing about the leak into the Kafue River. Kafue River today poses $1 million to China, $82 million to China. And after transferring, they even claimed the transfer was by mistake. And they have done nothing about it. That 82 bank, after UPND government failed to pay you on time. UPND government failed to pay you on time. But if you just remember that don't accuse your MP. CDF does not belong to an MP. CDF belongs to UPND government. Because the people who implement CDF are not members. Are you saying that 61 containers of medicine, the Zambian people are going to get accountability from that? Are you saying that abantu mwata mfisha bale mwabikire ku holding position about 400 and above? Heard from one former minister who said, in this election, you will see Mingalato that you have never seen before. And for sure, converting a political party to a church is something really special. For me, I am embarrassed. That Mungalato embarrassed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kafua. I also just wish to recognize the presence of the man-made police allies lie that I would like to urge the public not to follow. This alliance was a response to the overwhelming demands that were made by members of the public, that in order for us to unite the opposition and in order for us to maximize the election, the votes for the opposition, we needed to have come together. And what may not be appreciated on President Edgar Lungu, to bridge the gap between the rich who are now getting richer in the country and the poor who are now getting poorer in the country. So just to re-emphasize the fact that the Tonse Pamoja Alliance is intact and the candidates that are being sponsored in all the various constituencies, mayoral candidates and even councillors, are all going to rally behind the leadership of President Brian Munduwe. In fact, the first 3 rallies on the Copper Belt this weekend. We've just come out of a meeting with the President, who in consultation with the Vice President has decided that because we have a funeral which is very important in the nation, we join every other Zambian who is concerned in mourning the Royal Highness, the King of the Ngoni people in Chipata, Ngwenyama, Mpezeni 4, who passed on. And for that reason, it has been decided that we shelve the idea of launching our campaign, and we will launch it very soon after a clear demonstration at the hands of the UPND, and in my assessment in collaboration with the ECZ and other players, that they are preparing for something that is going to be other than a free and fair election. I think in addition to what Honorable Kafai has extrapolated, let me just say, make a few causing the infighting within the UPND. But of course it became very clear soon thereafter, because most of those who would have been very formidable members of parliament, mayors, and even council chairpersons in the UPND were frustrated into not fighting. And that was after they had their credentials removed from them. If you heard, the UPND had suggested that each one should surrender their right and independence. And you've seen the unprecedented number of independents who would have stood on the UPND ticket, but for the frustration and because they heeded the demand from the people, whether in the constituencies where they want to stand as as MPs, or in the wards where they want to stand as councillors, or indeed in the district where they would like to stand as mayors. He was subjected to the kind of violence that nobody would have expected, that a respected leader within the party of the UPND, who had contributed to the political well-being of this political party, and indeed to democracy in the nation, by sitting at Parliament at Mandai for a long time as member of Parliament from Mazabuka Central, could be subjected to the kind of violence that we experienced or that we evidenced on TV and even on social media. Westview, it was known that the instigator of that violence was somebody who worked within the power structures, frankly, that those who were violent towards Gary Nkombo were going to be shown, that the law does not spare, regardless of, what political patronage you enjoy. The law is going to be applied to you independently. We have now witnessed the worst case of miscarriage of justice, even before the case goes to court, where a person who himself was a victim of an atrocious attack but as a lawyer who has practiced law for a long time in this country, I think I find myself with a duty to call upon the Director of Public Prosecution not to fall into this fray and have a scenario where Mr. Gary Nkombo, who is supposed to be, who's supposed to receive justice before the law, is the one who's going to be arraigned simply because of political opinions that have differed between himself and the party that he had so labored to build. This is not a case, Mr. DPP, that you must prosecute Gary Nkombo. If any, this is a case where you must show that Mr. Gary Nkombo deserves to be treated justiciably before the courts of law. He should be the one who should be assisted by the law and not use the law against him when in fact he was a victim. Mr. Nkombo was not the only victim of these atrocities. There's a young man who was standing independent in Malole constituency, who was violated. The High Command of the police also would take an interest in this case of this young man in Malole constituency. I think his name is Mr. Kasonde. Is it? Mr. Kasonde. In Malole constituency, the High Command of the police in Northern Province would take a keen interest in this matter and ensure that those who meted violence like this young man are also brought to book. That is 1,000 kwacha if you just withdraw, and allow us to go in and oppose. This is in Northern Province, in Malona constituency, which is an area where the Tonse Alliance is supposed to be enjoying dominance. Somebody has the audacity of challenging a candidate and telling them that we're going to have a free and fair election. And what we have demonstrated here amply shows that the UPND is gunning to have an election where they're going to have a free will without being given any competition. We begin to wonder what is going to happen if we go into if we can't buy, when somebody is suffering to give somebody 20,000 kwacha as a bribe for them to withdraw their candidacy. What are we going to expect in these election campaigns? It is very clear that if anybody is going to commit some kind of infraction, during the campaign period, the treatment of that person will depend on whether they belong to the opposition or the UPND. Clearly, as you can see, the party created, and I dare the government to prove us wrong by showing that those who have committed these offenses are going to be brought to the book in public, so that even those who are planning to commit similar offenses can be shown that this police mean business, that this ECZ means business. We have information about senior police command officers who are going around, the provinces, trying to, according to them, acquaint the police officers with the Public Gatherings Act. The information that has reached our ears is very disturbing. It's very worrying. Because about the Public Gatherings Act, we had wanted to propose amendments to this law because we had noticed that there had been a proposal to put in this law the requirement that people are supposed to give notification to the police even before having a public rally during campaigns. We made that noise. Of course, our friends do not listen to advice from us. As bad as that law is, at least it does recognize the fact that when it is campaign period, the Public Gatherings Act is going to be a secondary legislation, and we're going to allow the Electoral Process Act to be the one that is going to regulate, the conduct of campaigns and election-based election. Not an election that is lopsided, in favor of those who are in power. That is not our intention. We still continue to worry about the conduct of the ECZ. For instance, we have information. I spoke about equipping as councillors on the Tonse Alliance platform to withdraw their candidature in exchange for them being offered jobs by the government that is in power. We have this information. And our expectation, in fact, we have instructed our committees in the district to write to the ECZ and also to activate a grievance addressing process before the district electoral office in Mwense, because it is not correct for somebody to identify the responsibility of the police. Unfortunately, our experiences, even in the by-elections, has been that most of the responsibilities of the ECZ itself has been abdicating in favor of the police. I mentioned here that in Kasama, we had more police officers manning the elections or controlling the elections than the ECZ officials were. We couldn't even find a single ECZ official to go and complain to when we had problems. Save when we went to sit at the District Conflict Management Committee, which didn't even do anything, to independent electoral commission, which is going to give latitude to every person who's going to participate in these elections. One thing that has worried me and worried us very seriously is how we are dealing with the issues of the independents. The experience that the independent members of parliament, or those who are vying to stand as independent members of parliament or councillors, it leaves much to be desired. If you've seen in Southern Province, the majority of them, by use of violence, have been made to withdraw their participation in the elections. Most of them. In fact, if Gary was not a political heavyweight, possibly he would have been one of them to succumb to such kind of pressure that has been put on them. What we said about Bill 7, when it was being mooted by the UPND. Hasn't it come as a surprise to you that it's only in Southern Province where you're now hearing of candidates withdrawing and allowing for a member of parliament to be unchallenged in an election as important as a general election in which we are bidding to elect not only members of parliament but also president, but also councillors? That's not coincidence. That tells you that we are trying to create a parliament that is skewed in favor of one political party. How do you use violence or even enticement for somebody to withdraw their candidate? In other provinces, the candidates have remained resolute and independent. They are pushing. We are hearing what our colleagues in the environment where you want to guarantee a free and fair election. You're not going to hear about violently pushing people to withdraw as candidates. You're not going to hear about people being enticed with money for them to withdraw participating in an election as candidates. It is only in an election which you design should never be free and fair, and an election in which you fear genuine competition, That's when you begin to hear these stories of people being intimidated or being incentivized to withdraw their candidates. And that's why I want to take my hat off to our colleagues in Northwestern Province. I know they don't belong to the Tonsi Alliance, but please be resolute. Be informed. This country is fast collapsing. And this country needs people. It needs people who are patriotic. It needs people who are nationalistic in approach to issues. It needs people who can't be cowed into doing things that are wrong. And our colleagues from Northwestern Province and elsewhere where I've resolved they're going to still continue standing independent, even in the face of intimidation. Those are the kind of people that we need as leaders for this nation to go forward, even an inch forward. And like I told one of our colleagues in Northwestern Province, I'm not going to mention his name for fear of recrimination, I have assured go to court. But even in the midst of this controversy, there's something that is very gratifying that I learned today. You see, I learned that the ECZ, in the exercise of its authority, has instructed or has advised the UPND to lay their hands off this independence. Because before we knew it, the UPND had demanded an opinion or had demanded a position from the ECZ to advise them whether these individuals who were previously UPND and now are standing independent should be disqualified from contesting the election. The ECZ, reading what is contained in the provisions of Article 52 of the Constitution, gave proper guidance on what is supposed to happen on these individuals. Okay, because the UPND was thinking that they could cow the ECZ. Even when the country is collapsing, they are paying the UPND. Clear that these individuals who filed, their applications as independent are covered by Article 51A and B of the Constitution. And they qualify because that article says if that member was a member of a political party and he has not been a member of that political party at least 2 months immediately before the date of election. And they've been guided that these members of parliament and councillors who are filing and apply as an independent, I'm indicating to the public that I'm no longer associated with the political party that previously had sponsored me. But now I'd like to go to parliament or go to council as an independent. That conduct itself should have been sufficient to be a resignation. But in a country where the law is applied lopsidedly, you need to make sure that you protect and cover yourself. So in my suggestion to our colleagues, please do author those letters between now and the 13th. Deliver them to the authorities which require them to demonstrate clearly that you would like to continue leading the people now as independents. Because that's what constitutional democracy actually demands of us to do. And following this, quite frank, and I'm being sincere, I noticed that my colleague Isaac Mwanza has always been the guy to deviantly take matters to court when he feels that something that is untoward has happened. And coincidentally, he usually does it in favor of the party that is in government. And the ECZ is a creature of the Constitution. And the ECZ has quoted the constitutional provision, which dictates that somebody can be an independent member of parliament as long as they file at least 2 months before the date of election. Need we continue to waste taxpayers' money by taking these matters to court needlessly, even when the advice has been given to us? Like I said, there must always come time when principle must prevail. And I would like to call upon my friend, Isaac Mwanza, with whom I'm going to share this opinion from ECZ, to consider independent who would like to be given latitude and opportunity to go and campaign. It would be unfair to keep them busy in court. It would be unfair to keep, Gary Pombo before the police running all over the place when he's supposed to be canvassing. We've got a very short period between now and the time we go to elections. If principle is allowed to prevail, my colleague Isaac Mwanza of Council must reflect seriously on this matter and consider withdrawing this case from court to allow our colleagues to go and campaign. And I repeat, to the colleagues who have been dragged to court unnecessarily, you have a partnership in lawyers who are prepared to give you pro bono services and present you if this matter is going to go ahead in court. I rest my case. Thank you very much.
To our colleagues, the media, and indeed mine would just be to supplement what you have already given out to the public, and probably to just sum up and conclude. I want to start by echoing the words from our Tonse President, Honorable Mutalo Munduvile, who is also now the leadership of the Tonse Alliance, and also Tonse Pamosi for the resolve they've demonstrated, the unity of common purpose that they've demonstrated in all the turbulences that we have gone through in the recent past. It's still fresh in our minds that unscrupulous characters working with the state have now subdued the Patriotic Front, which was started by our late President, Mr. Michael Chifasata, may his soul rest in peace, and they followed the FDD, which was also started by eminent citizens who wanted to ensure that the Mount Patriot would be on a ballot after FDD was attacked and the leadership attacked. Mingalatos extended from all manner of corners, but we remain resolved and we are happy to let our people know. My brother was just lifting the lamp, the light, which is going to shine through. I want to just comment on one important issue that my colleague Honorable Kafwa spoke to, which is about the memorial service for our 60th Republican President and his disciples who still remain loyal to him even in his death have to remember him in a dignified manner. And most of these activities will be centered around prayers for his family, for Mama Esther Lungu, who has continued to of the prayer activities that will take place on the 5th, and we expect that the royal members of the Patriotic Front, whose name has just been erased, but it can never be erased in people's hearts, should turn out in large numbers, where you will be directed to be on the 5th. I also want to wish well the Judas Iscariots who have contributed to the downfall of the Patriotic Front. In their wilderness, and I'm sure you have seen how most of them are moving like mad people. Today they want to pretend they are still PF, and the other day they are in other camps. We appeal to your conscious mind and encourage you to pray, because what you have done will live to haunt you. ECO is not yet buried, but you have shown how you betrayed, and we don't know how much you could have contributed to his being no more. But God up there will always be there to make you the Iscariot pay for their sins. To those genuine members who believed in Patriotic Front, and now you feel stranded by those that misled you, we want to still urge you that the door for Tonse PF Pamos conveying condolences to the gone royal establishment. Pachiro wakwete mkwaicha profia infumu kalamba bankosi amakosi bampeze mkwaichiro chikalamba sana bampeze n'infumu ya lipobufumu imyaka eyingi yamona na mabuteko ayapusana, and we all related to him in a different related to him in their own way. Tuemlomba fokwewa chero twala isoko fwewa mboya wenu abo bonse bale fokuleto munguru kuchimboya twakwatana cho chana say babengaba ichemako. And I'm happy that the Secretary to the Cabinet clarified that what was alleged to have come from him is fake, because we could have been the first one to be defiant, to defy that. So a message going on. My colleagues have expressed concerns about the Electoral Commission of Zambia. At least we appreciate that they've given guidance on the issue of those that have filed in as independents. But we still want to call upon Electoral Commission of Zambia to take action by enforcing the electoral process law. But we would like you to take action as you are mandated. Anti-Corruption Commission, you can't be sleeping and only wait for instructions on who to pursue. There are cases of corrupt activities that have been highlighted, that have been reported. People being enticed to withdraw their valid filed nominations in exchange for bribes. Your previous record in the Zambia Police Service speaks volumes of your professional work. What we don't know is what has happened after you were brought in from retirement to become the Inspector General of Police. It would appear your men sympathize with you, because it would appear that the police has got some other command centers. Because how else can you interpret the conduct of the police who watched violent activities at a polling station, at a filing in nomination center, where an eminent citizen was brutalized? He had to defend himself professionally. You have got a senior officer going around in the guise of orienting officers about the new Public Gathering Act. You let this officer know that he is on a tour of duty. There have been other senior officers in the Zambia Police Service. Let him conduct himself professionally. Don't bring officers to start pass without segregation. I heard the permanent secretary of defense assuring the nation that Zambia was going to experience peaceful general elections. I wish he could have said the same when people were being beaten at the polling station, at the filing in nomination. But I was never happened before, and we don't expect it to happen now. And this goes to warn all those that are thinking that they would want to abuse state apparatus to do some mingaratos against the will of the people. Zambian people have always changed governments. Those apparatus that you are sitting with, be it defense, home affairs, and anywhere else, were the same apparatus united after 20 years of being in power. 27 years for UNIP. They are the same apparatus we, as the former government, Patriotic Front, we are sitting with. Same apparatus. They may make some people excited. They do make people excited. And you may think that you have got the authority to abuse those apparatus. Let it start thinking in your minds that those are people's apparatus. And when the people of Zambia decide, not even Mingarato will be entertained by the people of Zambia. So sit and start planning on how you can brand the messages of the failed promises that you can use to try and sit and start deceiving those that are in authority, that you in uniforms, you can do anything to change the people's will when it comes to the August 13 general elections. And I want to warn those and alert all our participating candidates at parliamentary level, councillor level, that there are people who are going around in communities trying to get our people's voters' cards and then RCs and getting records of what they are going to give you that they haven't given you in the past 5 years. Be vigilant and be alert to those who can even affect citizens' arrest because they are abusing the law. And where you catch them, please take them to the law enforcement agencies or the Electoral Commission of Zambia so that they can be dealt with. But I want to repeat that there will be no mingalatos. If there will be mingalatos, it will be mingalato kamingalato. The will of the people shall prevail, just as it has been in the past. So let's have a level playing field so that the people of Zambia can be on presidential candidate, Mr. Xavier Chungu, who remains in incarceration, and we hope that justice can prevail. If he has got something that the state feels has been breaches of the law, let that be dealt with within the confines of the judiciary, and that he be allowed to exercise his constitutional rights to participate in the presidential elections as a presidential candidate whose nominations were declared valid. So we must not use any means to prevent him from exercising that best as they position themselves to become president and vice president this coming August, because the Zambian people have decided. And those that want to think they can stop the moving train even by banning songs, campaign songs which have never happened. It's so shameful. We had songs here, Mwankole, Kosomumpoto, Civil Servant Walifola. Those songs were tolerated. It's not that those of us who are in government, because you stop one, another comes out. Please continue sharing those ideas as we prepare our comrades and the members of parliament that have stood to those who are standing under Tonse in North-Southern Province, Northwestern Province, Western Province. You are assured that our leaders will stand with you. No one should intimidate you. No one should coerce you. You have got a democratic right to participate, because we would like to liberate Zambia. We would like a Zambia where people have got equal opportunities. Employment must not be to our two dear leaders. Remain strong. We are going to stand with you and we are going to support you all the way. To the Zambian people, it's your right to choose the leaders that you want to liberate you.
Oh my goodness.